Justified Season 6, Episode 9, Burned. I definitely love this episode, especially, of course, the insane climactic ending with everything that just went nuts. We got kind of the aftermath of what happened at the end of the last episode, with Raylan realizing that Ayla had been figured out by Boyd, and she decided that she would kind of work with Boyd to mess with Raylan and not give them the information they really wanted. So when he confronts her at the end of this episode, it was interesting to see her, dilemma and really her ultimate decision to say, I don't want to go to jail as much as she cares about Boyd. She doesn't want to go to prison. It's her life over his life. And she made the decision to say, like, oh, I'm supposed to tell you it's going to happen next week, but it's happening tonight. And of course, I didn't know how things were going to play out. I knew he couldn't get busted so soon because that's, of course, what they're saving for the end of the series. But with the way things went, I thought what was going to happen is that Ava's uncle was going to try to take the money, that he would knock Boyd out, and Boyd would survive and stuff, and, that would be fine. But I thought he was going to be the one to pop up, and it's like, well, we have him, and they would kind of go from there, and maybe they could, easily just ask him to say, like, hey, who are you working with? And obviously he would give up Boyd in a heartbeat. But that didn't happen. Like, nothing happened. He tried to kill him. We don't know where he is. I thought it was weird that he didn't end up running past, I believe it was Carl's guy's name. I thought it was surprising that he didn't end up running past them after everything blew up, or, even when he was running to get Boyd. They didn't run past each other. They didn't see, what happened to him. They don't know if he's dead or, what the heck happened with him. So we're going to find out. I have to assume he's not dead because, if he was dead, he just wouldn't be seen anymore, and that would be pretty much it because they have no reason to go back in the tunnels, of course. But, we don't know what's going to happen with him. And I guess he could be dead. They could have it where the sheriffs and stuff, the marshals, they go down there and kind of check things out. But it was crazy. I didn't know how, what was going to really happen. I was excited to watch it for sure because I'm like, she made the decision to really stick with Raylan and give him the correct information. Boyd was almost killed off. I knew he wasn't going to die and I knew it was going to be fine. But there's still the question of what is going to happen here. Like, are they going to, mess things up and then her uncle gets arrested and he gets busted for trying to steal the money instead of Boyd, and, Boyd somehow magically gets out of it like he always does. Or, kind of like how things worked out where Boyd was able to escape, they all get out alive, and ultimately nothing happened. They weren't even able to, get into the safe because it just kind of, the whole thing sort of fell apart. And, it was exciting to see. Like I said, I didn't know what to really expect, but it was definitely an interesting ending for it. And of course, Ava now has to figure out, what the heck's going on with her uncle, and, this out of nowhere thing where he's actually trying to kill Boyd, which I was really surprised that Boyd didn't figure it out before. I thought that's how that was going to play out, is that he would have figured out what happened before, and he would realize that Ava's uncle was trying to kill him, and he would kind of play him like he does with pretty much everybody else. But that didn't happen. He was completely caught by surprise. Boom, whacked in the head with like, a rebar thing, and or I guess a piece of rebar, and chained up by like this old timey thing like it's freaking 1748 or something, and he's trapped about to get crushed by his own greed, as her uncle put it. And I thought it was just really cool. It's a nice little scene. And got the new guy that they introduced in this episode that's working for Markham, like I guess like the only guy he can bring in because everybody's just getting killed off, which in the beginning of the episode, I guess I'll get to the new guy in a minute, but in the beginning, the lieutenant comes back in, and I, of course, didn't see that coming, where he comes in and he wants to kill Markham for basically letting Walker get killed off and putting out this huge reward to get him killed because he doesn't want to deal with kind of cleaning up a little mess that happened. And he doesn't want to help him out. He just wants to get rid of this loose end and be done with it. So I was surprised by that. And of course, he held them up, and I knew he was making a huge mistake when she said, I have this bracelet in my purse. Terrible idea. Like, I knew that was going to happen. And of course, she shoots him right in the chest. I didn't expect her to like just shoot him in the head and his brains just like fly onto the wall and stuff. But it was a pretty intense scene. Like, he gets killed off, which did kind of suck because he was in a weird position, and then he comes back after everything happens with Walker, and then he just ends up getting killed as well. And she was like super cool about it too. She like makes a call, speaks some French, and it's like that was the end of the scene. It's like, and she says what she says, and then it's just like thank you, and then that was it. And it was just like she just has these insane connections. Also, she shot off like a little revolver inside a hotel. I'm surprised that didn't warrant like a bunch of attention, but once again, if she can just say like one French sentence and be like thanks and clean up an entire dead body plus brains on the wall, I guess, two gunshots isn't that big of a deal either. So, just connections in the drug world, I guess. But that was an interesting scene. And then we get the new guy who goes and he's like the new amazing shot. Like, it was kind of funny when that happened. And he like bursts through the door and stuff, and he comes in and he's just like a straight up cowboy who doesn't know who John Wayne is, which I thought was the craziest thing. Like, I don't think I've ever heard that before. But he comes in and it's like, oh, he's talking and stuff. And way before he even mentioned it, as soon as he opened the door and like I saw that gun on his hip, I was like, he shot the head off of that snake. It wasn't like they chopped the head off for whatever random reason. It was weird. It was like, oh, there's a snake instead of a snake head. It's the body without the head. And it's like he was coming in. I was like, I saw the gun, and the first thing I thought was, he shot it off, which is like, even as he mentioned like a minute or two later, that's an amazing shot to just get the head of a snake. And that was the first thing I thought. Like, this guy is no joke. Like, he comes in, he's like full on old west, like quick draw type stuff. Like when he walks towards the snake, and I of course can't think of anyone's name, but she's going to like try to get a knife or something, and he kind of just like, even without looking, he just draws the gun. He's like, was like a quick draw like that. But if it was something like that, he'd be showing off, and then of course he like flips the gun around and stuff, like, look what I can do. And he's just an interesting character, the way he speaks and his demeanor, which, it was like another moment. It's like, I just love the villains. I love the way they write these characters and have people act out these certain characters where they have this really eccentric personality. And the guy's like, someone coming in here and doing this is an amazing shot, and they probably only be doing that to scare someone like yourself, who is very pretty, I have to say. And he's just, a really weird character. And of course, even when he meets Raylan, he's like, you're everything I hoped you'd be, even with the hat. And he gives him a little lesson and stuff. And he spouts off all this stuff, and he's like, you get what I mean? And Raylan's like, no, I don't. Like, I don't know who the heck you are and stuff. So of course they're gonna have like a crazy Wild West, draw moment by the end of the season for sure. I don't know how long this guy's gonna live, but I have to assume he's gonna end up being like the last person to come in from Markham, unless he brings in like yet another person who's just really crazy and weird, which he most likely could. So I don't know how long this new guy's gonna last, but I definitely like him. He's only had an introduction, so I'm sure he'll be in it for a while. Probably will be the rest of the season until he gets killed off as well. But I definitely liked him. Boyd working with the girl, I really wish I could remember her name. Like, it's on the tip of my tongue. Like, I can almost remember the last name. I feel like it starts with an M or something. But, him working with her I thought was definitely cool. Like, she goes in and she wants to buy all the different land and stuff. And then when they get to the meeting, it's like, I want to buy your land to, basically just plant seeds. I don't want to even move anyone out. I just want to plant these seeds so that we can, basically rebuild the entire community. So I thought that was very intense. Like, even Boyd said, it's like, you can do a lot more with the whisper than a roar. She may have made a mistake. I mean, she's already got this guy who's come to her house on 2 separate occasions. Maybe 3. I think Walker was there by himself one time, and then Walker and Markham were there. Or I guess that was all in the same day. Walker was there by himself, and then Raylan showed up, and that's when Markham showed up. And then you have the new guy coming in. In this episode, who's like Quick Draw McGraw, just shooting anything and everything, a mile away and all that crap. And this was kind of her plan. Like, I know she's with Boyd, and Boyd can offer protection through the guys that he has, but that's not 24/7 protection. And she lives, seemingly everyone seems to live like 3 miles away from everything else. So like every time they show a house, it's like, yeah, there's like a house 5 miles that way. So it's like, it's not 24-hour protection. They have to really be careful. And she's definitely put herself in the limelight after doing this. Like, she was just another person who wanted who wanted to keep her house before, but now she's like the person who has basically taken over for Boyd as the one who wants to go up against Markham for this land grab. So she's now in a very different position than she was before, just as a landowner. She's now the rival land grabber. So she's definitely got to watch her back, and I'm sure they're going to touch on that in some upcoming episodes. I'm sure the guy's going to end up coming back to your house at some point, and he might end up killing the guy that Boyd has normally protecting Ava or something, or just like some random guy that none of us give a crap about. But she's in an interesting position. I don't know how things are really gonna work, but it should be something. Like she's put herself in this position now, and she's just gonna have to deal with it. So that's kind of all there is to it there. And we also got some very interesting information early on in this episode about when Duffy as the one who is actually the rat, which I was very surprised by. And they kind of glanced over it. It wasn't like this really huge deal. I mean, obviously, that's because the character is telling when they, that they already knew the information for whatever random movie time or, TV time we didn't see for the scenes. But that was a big deal. Like, he is the one who's the rat. And this whole time, it's been like, it's this person or it's this person. It's one of these two. It's either the wife or the best friend. And it definitely didn't seem like the wife. It certainly seemed like it was the best friend. But there's some things that were said, like even in the last episode, it didn't seem to make sense that you'd rat on the person to be with his wife, and then poof, you up and leave town the instant it happens. You don't try to be with her or anything like that. And now we know why. Like, we find out who the rat actually was, and it was Win Duffy. So that kind of surprised me. I don't know how things are gonna play out with his character either. He tends to be a really smart character. He tends to know what he's doing. He tends to watch out for himself and kind of make things work. He kind of gets out of stuff a lot like Boyd does, except he's never really in like the forefront of stuff because Boyd's always the one actually doing things. He always seems to have like the perfect connection, and then he can kind of just break that connection at the last second, and he's always perfectly fine. So now when Duffy is like their new CI, they still have Ava, who kind of obviously made her choice to really work with them and protect herself over Boyd and his operation. So you have like two facets of information. They definitely have stuff on Win if they decide to rat him out and say like he's the one who kind of really led to this entire series of events, because the reason that all this is happening is because Arkham is really the one who everyone kind of thinks is the rat. So if that ever gets let out, which I feel like it has to, things are definitely going to be crazy for him. So I'm really excited where things are going to go after this episode. Boyd plans on taking the money now after it's going to be, or while it's being moved. So I don't know how that's going to freaking work out. Odds are that's going to be very protected by like Quick Draw and maybe a bunch of other random people as well. And they're just a couple of other little things that were put in here, like Ava's uncle, don't know where he is, new land grab situation, and attention being shifted away from Boyd as far as being the next big land grabber and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that was introduced in this episode. A huge little moment at the end, like who is going to end up getting the money? Is it going to be safe? What's going to happen there? So I definitely loved this episode. It was really intense. A lot of cool moments introduced. Cool character. A new cool character was introduced. So I'm definitely excited for the next episode. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And what do you guys think about the sort of mission gone wrong? Like, while all that craziness was going down, I doubt anyone really thought Boyd was going to be killed off. But did you think he'd still end up getting busted? Did you think Ava's uncle was going to kind of take his place, which is really what I thought? Or did you think it would really work out the way that it did, where basically it just failed? Like, no one got the money. Ava's uncle is just in the wind. Like, we don't know where the heck he is. And now Boyd has to try to steal this money while it's being moved. Because, things are just crazy. So I'm excited to see it. But I want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.